Welcome back, Captains and Admirals, to another video with a funny muffler. Today, we're on Tears of the Desert and we're in the Ark Royal. Today, we're going to speak about the Ark Royal, not just about the gameplay, but I want to cover some things. So, I know a lot of people struggle against this carrier. This carrier is very, very strong, and obviously, the better the player, it's just compounding it, and, you know... is making something that's already quite strong even stronger. So I'm going to go through ways to counter this thing, and if you can say counter it, because no amount of AA is going to stop a run completely. The only way you're going to, decimate an entire squadron is having something like a carrier or maybe a California nearby. And even then, it's going to struggle. So you're never going to stop all the drops. You're going to take one drop, and that's the fact with most carriers. You're going to get hit by at least one squadron, and you're just going to have to live with that. So we've got the most basic thing we can do, so is evade or dodge. So you want to want to keep your eyes peeled. There are indicators to show, where the aircraft are. If you can see the aircraft coming towards you, you need to start taking action as soon as possible. But you also want to be incredibly unpredictable. So, ideally, if a carrier bombing you is a concern, I'd recommend just going for mobility. So, I've ended up switching a lot of my battleships to the steering gears mod, and I've done the same for a lot of my cruisers. I've got the steering gears mod and the third mod for the rudder shift and engine repair time. So as you can tell, we just hit that ram at 8,000 and couldn't do anything. This guy's trying to dodge as well, and I'm a pretty good carrier player, so I can predict, and we just took half his health off. Didn't break a sweat. So it's hard with destroyers, because obviously destroyers are... they're going to push. They're going to spot. And as you can tell, Perth just knocked out that Fusion. So, destroyers, especially the Ark Royal, it's an absolute bane for them. And, as a carrier main, I do appreciate the fact that this thing is not fun to play against. I don't play this thing very often. I do have it, but I don't play it often. I'll probably play it maybe once, twice a week. And when I'm streaming, if somebody asks me to play it, I'll play it. But I don't want to make a habit of playing this thing. Because, like I said, it is very strong, and I can't see Wargaming nerfing this thing. Because as it's a premium ship, if it was to be nerfed, then they would have to issue refunds to people if they weren't happy with how the ship was changed. And at the end of the day, you're not really going to buy a ship unless it's got something decent about it. The Ark Royal, she's quite powerful, quite a desirable carrier for carrier players. I didn't buy this, I just opened a couple of boxes and I just had it, so I was quite lucky. But yeah, so the carpet bombers are what this thing is about. Thought bombers aren't bad. It says it's, the planes are, outdated and whatever, but it's got onboard factory. So I'll go through what it's got. So it's got carpet bombing, which is a British carrier, they all do. It's got an onboard factory, and the only other thing to have an onboard factory is the Hariaku. That's a legendary tier. So it says it's got feeble aircraft, and I would say that's a bit of an exaggeration, because the aircraft do sponge a fair bit because there's so many of them as well. Because you've got to think, at tier 5, most squadrons are made up of 3 attacks, and there's 2 planes per squadron. This one is 3 attacks per squadron. So, there's 9 planes instead of 6. So, the reduction in hit points doesn't really matter. you know, the maximum bomb damage, so, is nearly 4,000. It's 3,186 per bomb. And I think each one drops 6 bombs each. Yeah, it's about 6 bombs each. You know, and it's absolutely devastating. You know, destroyers and cruisers don't have a lot of deck armor. You know, and this thing, a 31% fire chance per bomb, and you're dropping basically a shit ton of them. You know, 6 per plane. So you can set fires in this thing. It's disgusting. You haven't even got to try. The restoration time is 57 seconds per plane. Detectability of the planes is 8.4 for the dive bombers, 9 kilometers for torpedoes, 166 kilometers max speed, which, you know, is nothing to be nose up at. So the AA defense, you know, we're not really going to go into that too much, because it's just all about the planes in this thing. This, you know, just watch this. I didn't really have to fully aim, and the reticle wasn't exactly on him, and there's just such a saturation of bombs. So I've got a high caliber, and I don't want to sound, you know, big-headed, but I've had quite a large impact in this game so far. You know, we hit that Fusion incredibly hard, and he got spotted and finished off. You know, we've dealt with another destroyer. Well, we pounded that Ramat. This now we've got a kamikaze here, I believe it is. You know, the thing is, they could reduce the amount of bombs it drops. Maybe increase the hit points of the planes, but reduce them. But instead of having 3 attacks, just have 6 planes in the squadron, would just, and keep the 3 per attack, so you only get 2 runs. So increase the hit points slightly, just to try and balance out, because you are losing 3 planes. So maybe increase it by, you know, 150, 200 hit points per plane, but you are losing 3 planes. Like I said, I don't know. I wouldn't really know how to balance it. It's so many things you could do to it. You know, you could take planes off it from its hangar. You could reduce the amount of bombs, reduce the fight. Even just reducing the fire chance would help, personally. Because like I said, the amount of bombs you drop in, and you just set in fires for everything. And I understand this thing is extremely frustrating to play against, but she is a good carrier, and if you're a decent player in her, you can just go to town. You know, destroyers can't do anything to you, because, you know, most destroyers are fairly weak AA, especially at tier 5. So I don't know what they could do to nerf it, to keep everyone happy, because if they nerf it, people are going to want to have refunds. So, and let's be fair, I don't think they will nerf it. But they did change the Weimar. You know, the Weimar went up from tier 6 to tier 7. It didn't really change too much. You know, the Weimar's still very good. You know, I was talking with Monk, and I think it was Monk that said they could have just reduced the reload time slightly. I think he suggested that would have fixed the problem. Instead, they just moved up a tier. Oof. You look, you know, that looked like a miss, but we still managed to clip him with a single bomb. But the Ark Royal, I think, is one of the highest win rates of carriers. Carriers are quite an impactful class anyway. And there goes another destroyer.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.
You've got the enemy carrier to deal with now. But, you know, you don't really need to play this like you would another carrier. You could just play like, you know, it's a complete potato and just bash your planes against things, and you'll still do fairly well. You know, I would recommend, if you are going to play this thing, play like a normal carrier. Do your pre-drops, because yes, it's difficult to run out of planes in this thing, but you want to conserve your planes. You know, it's not difficult to play this well, but it is difficult to play it extremely well. You know, I've seen crazy damage numbers. You know, I haven't done a huge amount of damage in this game. I think my total record, let's have a look at my statistics for this thing. So my highest damage in this thing is 188,000 in the Ark Royal. There's probably people who've done way, way higher than that, but, you know, well, that's my maximum.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
And my average damage is 100,000. So that's not bad for a carrier. My win rate in this thing is 65%. No, you can just tell by that, you know, it's a very strong ship. See how much we can do now. Ooh, that was a big hit. 7 bomb hits. But you know, from purely a fun perspective, this thing is great to play. It's such a good time to play it. But like I said, it's not fun to play against. Unfortunately, though, it is here to stay. So we're just going to have to learn to live with it. But we just need to think of things that we can do to counter it. So, like I said, you got the evasion. Try and be unpredictable. Change your speeds. Try not to sail in a straight line. A lot of people I've seen just sail in a straight line. Like we've seen some people I've been tagged and they just casually just ignoring my planes. You know, this doesn't apply for destroyers as much, but cruisers, especially battleships, stick together. The problem is by sticking together, you are limiting your impact in the game. Then, so ideally, if you're in divisions, communicate, move up together. Because the thing is, if you do stay together, then you're clumping up, and then you're giving more map control then to the enemy team. And even if you do stay together and have a large overlapping umbrella of AA, you're still not going to prevent, you know, 1, maybe 2 runs, depending on the, you know, what ships and what AA is overlapping. You can see, you know, even a carrier AA with fighters chasing me. You know, I've still got 1 plane left. You know, it's just crazy. And that's not with a cannibal fighter, that's an actual squadron of fighters chasing down my planes as well. So, I'm not the best player, you know, and I'm not the best explaining stuff either. I do try my best. As a carrier player, to other players, like I said, evasion and dodging, I know it sounds pretentious, but, you know, that is an important factor. You know, staying grouped up, yes, it does come with negatives that you are relinquishing map control to the enemies, but if you're in divisions or if your team are communicating through voice chat, which, let's be honest, not a lot of teams do, but it should be a thing for the game now. People should be communicating. You know, the game's been out long enough, you know, we've got this lovely community. But I'm trying to think of viable options for you guys, because I don't want to just feed you crap. You know, you could always spec out for AA builds, but you can't guarantee you're going to have a carrier in your match, unless obviously you have a division mate that's playing a carrier. But the Ark Royal can punch through, you know. It used to be the California was one of the hard counters to carriers. You know, you could still attack them, but you do so many planes in doing it. But you know, I've attacked Callies in my Ark Royal, and it doesn't really matter. I'll lose my an attack squadron, but I'll get, you know, my 16 bombs off, or however many they drop, and you know, because the Callie's quite a big girl. You know, you just saturate the deck. You know, and a lot of people, because of the high fire chance, they'll pop their DC straight away, and then you just come back in with another run of bombers, hit them again, and they get 2, maybe 3 permafires done. But if you looked at it, it's a fantastic game. 500,000 credits, 170,000 damage, Federate, high caliber. We had a really good game. 15 fires started, 57 bomb hits. I even got an assisted capture because that's one thing carriers need to do. Advance, push up. You don't push up, you are effectively increasing your reload time. Imagine playing a battleship, and the further away you are from the battle, the longer your guns take to reload. Because you've got to think of the turnaround time for your planes to get back to your carrier, land, and then obviously the rearming process is more or less instantaneous. And get off the deck again, and then fly back into the battle. You want to try and keep those turnaround times as low as possible. But the thing with the Ark Royal, she's so strong. Personally, if they nerfed her, I'd be happy with the nerf, personally. I wouldn't refund her. I quite enjoy the Ark Royal. She's a lovely ship. But I do think she does need some tweaking, because she is incredibly strong. You know, as of recording this video, when I actually played this match, I was actually, I wouldn't say ill, but I had the flu. So I wasn't 100%, and I've still performed really well. Really well. She 5 defended. There's not a lot that the carriers can't do, so I can understand where the frustration comes from with, you know, the carrier can spot EDs, spot torpedoes. You know, there's no immediate danger to the carrier itself. It's just the danger of losing your aircraft, which is neither here nor there for the carrier. You know, you can just use the spotting mechanic and get, you know, I think it's potential damage. So, you know, there's plenty of options for carriers to impact the game and impact it, you know, really heavily, especially if the player's good and knows what they're doing. You know, targeting DDs, even if you can't hit them, spotting them, because you're robbing the DD then of their advantage. You know, the advantage of the DD is the fact it has a very low spot range, very difficult for cruisers, you know, and battleships to spot them. And you literally rob them of that. And you also rob your friendly DDs of, you know, some of the things that they bring to the table. You know, a DD can spot, a carrier can do it better. You know, faster. There we are. Look, our base XP 3,200, and N7 Warlords on the enemy team. I didn't know he was in Perth. But yeah, we had a fantastic game anyway, so I won't keep it too much longer. So thank you for watching, guys. If you did enjoy watching, please leave a comment and leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike and a comment and see if I can improve anything. And let me know what you think of the Ark Royal as well. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will catch you next time. So, Bessies, Captains and Admirals.